All right, guys. Hey, what is going on? It's Isaiah Intelligent Psycho here. Isaiah at your service right now. What's going on, YouTube family? I got some insider news for you guys. For those who are watching the WNBA and the Women's Players Association, Women's National Basketball Players Association, and the WNBA had discussed the deal back in October of 2025. And so they were taking a 6-month long break in the action 6-month long break in the action for a new deal with the CBA collective bargaining agreement. So they announced a new tentative deal. So for me, I'm just going to report and pretty much talk about what the deal encompasses into. And I was supposed to make this video like about maybe the last month and a half ago or a couple months ago, but I completely forgot to even talk about it and break it down on my own end. So I just figured I might as well do it. So yeah, pretty much the WNBA and the Women's National Basketball Players Association, they signed a term sheet for the new collective bargaining agreement, allowing both sides to announce Friday that they have reached a tentative deal. The terms verbally agreed upon both parties early Wednesday morning after 8 days, more than 100 hours of bargaining in Midtown Manhattan in New York. The deal was pending ratification from the WNBA Board of Governors and WNBA player body, which could take another few weeks. But in a news release, the league called the deal one of the most transformational labor agreements that ever reached in professional sports. The centerpiece of the new deal is a revenue sharing model that the league calls the first comprehensive revenue sharing model in women's professional sports history. The league projects the new system will deliver more than $1 billion in the player's salary and benefits over the course of the agreement. The salary cap for the 2026 season will be $7 million. It would change annually based on the league and the team revenue growth, and is projected to exceed $10 million by the end of the deal. The maximum salary set for $1.4 million in 2026, and is projected to grow more than $2.4 million by 2032. The average salary is expected to be $583,000 in 2026, and is set to exceed $1 million by 2032. The minimum salaries will range based on years of service for $270,000 to $300,000 in 2026, and are projected to range from $340,000 to $380,000 by 2032. And under the new deal, the existing rookie scale contracts will be adjusted upward. Forthcoming rookie scale contracts will experience large salary jumps, with 2026 number 1 overall pick projected to earn $500,000. The agreement will also require teams to roster 12 players. They can also now have 2 additional spots for developmental players that will not only count against the cap. The 2026 season will remain at 44 games. Then the schedule will expand to up to 50 games in 2027 and 2028, then up to 52 games in 2029 and 2032. Oh, hey, Gary Johnson. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? The new CBA also addressed the housing issue, which emerged as a flashing point in negotiations after the league initially did not include in its proposals. Teams have provided housing since the league's first CBA in 1999. And under the new deal, housing will be provided for all players in 2026, 2027, and 2028, and for players making $500,000 or less in 2029 and 2030, new developmental players will be providing housing in every year. Other highlights of the deal, according to the release, include codified league-wide charter air travel, enhanced standards for team facilities requiring teams to provide enhanced training and treatment resources, expanded team staffing requirements, including access to additional physicians, athletic trainers, strength and conditioning coaches, physical and massage therapists, and nutritionists. Salary cap expectations, and for injured and pregnant players, pregnant player trade consent Substantial increases in bonus compensation for all league and postseason awards. Starting in 2027, bonuses will increase at the rate of growth in the salary cap. The expanded first-class travel accommodations for players across league events. Significant increases in contributions to player 401k retirement accounts. A one-time recognition payment for WNBA veterans and retired players based on years in service in the league, ranging from $30,000 to $100,000. Enhanced life insurance benefits totaling more than $700,000 per player. Expanded mental health coverage, including a specific mental health reimbursement benefit, and expanded family planning benefits for players and their spouse partners. And of course, we look at the 10 biggest wins, from the WNBA CBA deal, the 10 biggest wins from the new agreement. It took many months back and forth negotiation and one final push in a marathon, week-long bargaining session. But the WNBA and Players Association accomplished their mutually stated goal for a transformational collective bargaining agreement that permanently and positively changes the landscape of the league. The CBA will benefit WNBA players in the present, in the future, and even from the past. The current players are getting big raises in salary, a real stake in revenue, and share an improved workplace experience. For players, their compensation will be based on the framework gains and made now, and with what's called recognition payments, retired players, those who built the WNBA, which entering its 30th season, will get cash payments if they have at least 5 years of service. The official CBA hasn't been made public yet, but with the document produced by the union, acquired by ESPN, they have enough information on the CBA terms to weigh in on what appears to be wins for everyone involved. Number one, meaningful revenue sharing. Throughout the negotiation, revenue sharing has been the biggest sticking point in getting the deal done. Why was it so important? Because it ties players. It ties player compensation in a direct way to league growth. And it's a measurable metric that allows players to feel fully vested in and rewarded not just their own individual success, but what it means for the league as a whole accomplishes. Getting 20% gross revenue is lower than players' original risk, but it's a number that and the owners can feel comfortable about. Number two, salaries that make sense. We've outlined how salary increases will grow for WNBA players at every level of experience and impact. The salary scale doesn't put more money in the players' pockets, but it allows franchises more flexibility in how they build their teams. Some will have so-called bigger middle class of players than others, based on how they choose to surround their most elite players. These salaries also add a needed and justified level of prestige in the WNBA for its players. And for 2026, salaries will range from a minimum of $270,000 to $1.4 million, which each team's cap at $7 million compared to $1.5 million in 2025. That's not like an astronomical sums seen currently in four major men's professional sports in the United States, but compared to where the WNBA is now, for those where the league is where it's at a similar age, it's a better measurement of the progress made in the CBA. Of course, number three, the codified charter travel. The WNBA's when the last CBA was signed in 2020, most would have assumed negotiating for charter flights would be a major issue for the next labor deal, but instead the league with the charters in 2024 and a big step forward regarding the players' health, recovery, and comfort, of which can affect the quality of the pay. Plus, the charters regularly rid of the WNBA's embarrassing travel issue stories that seem to crop up every few times every season to make the league seem amateurish. Because of the travel in 2024, charters have become less of a bargaining chip for this CBA, but it's still an important step in officially making it a part of the CBA. Prioritizing health and wellness. This compromises the multiple aspects of the CBA. We mentioned how charters that decrease wear and tear on athletes who rely on rest and recovery. Teams' medical staff requirements are mandated to be larger, including 2 athletic trainers, 2 team physicians, a strength and conditioning coach, a physical therapist, a massage therapist, and access to a nutritionist. And by 2027, players can be reimbursed up to $22.50 per season in mental health expenses. And by 2028, teams will have to meet minimum standards for practice facilities, which include private medical and treatment rooms. And some franchises have been providing more than others in those areas. The CBA will make that standard practice for all of the teams. And 5, I'll probably just read this and I'll probably get to my point in explaining this. So, family first commitments. The union, which is very important. The union and WNBA have championed the needs of rights of mothers in the workplace, and the CBA goes further than any previous one in safeguarding those meetings. One new element in it is this: the teams must obtain her consent before training a pregnant player. And after the 2022 season, the Las Vegas Aces and forward Derica Hamby had a contentious parting when she was dealt to the Los Angeles Sparks. Hamby said she was traded because she was pregnant, and while the Aces instead said she no longer fit in their plans from a personal standpoint. Hamby filed suit against the Aces and the WNBA for what she thought was an inadequate investigation of the club's actions. A federal judge dismissed the suit against the league's salary against the league in last May, and Hamby and the Aces mutually agreed to dismiss her lawsuit against the franchise last December. The sealed dispute between Hamby and the Aces is not something that the league and the union wants to see it happen again. The new CBA looks to take away any potential ambiguity of the teams making a trade involving a pregnant player by regarding player approval. Teams will be allowed a greater flexibility in the cap with covering the mandate of full salary for the pregnant player. That helps protect the player and the team. Other family-focused parts of the CBA include a life insurance policy for increased players from $700,000 to $700,000 from $100,000 in requirement to allow children ages 13 or younger to be allowed to travel with teams, and 2 weeks paid leave for non-birthing parents. All right, so all of that being said, I thought this was a very interesting, I thought this was a very, very compelling, very exciting news for the women in the WNBA about getting this new CBA deal done. There's a lot of big wins. I like the fact about the meaningful, I like the fact about the revenue sharing. I thought that was pretty cool because the NBA and the WNBA had problems with that a long time ago. And of course, salaries for the players and impacted on teams and the salary cap expense, that made sense for them because that really is a great thing. And of course, a lot of times I've been hearing stories too in regards to charter traveling. People that's having mental health problems, health recovery and comfort, that also can be embarrassing of that. So I thought that was a thing that really, really they highlighted more, and that was really important. Of course, like I said, with the health and wellness and family commitments, that was really great for them to really look at that, because a lot of families, a lot of these women players, have children, have kids, so they want to be close to them, and so they have to have them getting close, then watching them in the games moving forward, especially the people that's a part of the Players Association, including Nneka Ogwumike, Nafisa Colley, and Breonna Stewart. But the thing is, I like the fact that they got this deal done, and it needed to be done in a way where it felt very aligned and felt very sufficient. It felt very to the point where they needed something like this to happen in order for the next seasons and moving forward to go on further, because the more you got these younger stars coming up the ranks, coming along the rise, like the Soya Citrons, the Kiki Eferens, and of course what happened, of course, the family first commitments, what the story that went on with Derica Hamby, because I remember that story back in 2023, in that side of line. I remember that whole story when she was pretty much came to an open conclusion and announced that she was pregnant. And of course, the team didn't fully commit to really playing her a lot and really respecting what her wishes were, is trying to move on, because she figured that they was just playing her along out of the spite. And that was the thing I feel like is most important, is you gotta treat these women players with the kind of sheer gratitude and dignity that they stepped forward. Uh, so I like the pregnant player trade kiss, and I thought that was pretty cool to see that happen. And mostly the veteran players, and even the ones that's covered in the co-retired players, they should have been and got this. They should have been and got deals like this, as far as the retired players and the years of service. They should have been got an increase in pay and recognition payment, like one time. They should have been got these things. They should have not take them to this point to really do that. It really made no sense why they even got to that point, to even fully just reach this sort of agreement. I would have thought that they would have been and got it, especially during the days of when, for example, oh shit, I'm blanking on names. Well, I'm blanking on names right now, but it'll probably come to me later. But regardless of the fact, they should have been and got these salaries going up. With Lisa Leslie and Tina Thompson and all of them, was Don Stilly and the rest of them was playing. They should have been and got salary like that. Diana Taurasi, the list goes on and on and on. Elena Daldani and all them, they should have been and got salary caps like this increase. I would have thought that would have been much more of a sufficient thing. Uh, the life insurance benefits I thought was great for them. I thought that makes it more worthwhile. So when you retire, and after your up to your 5 to 10 years, like the plan and the insurance, when that start to really revel and kick in, I think that's very important, and I thought they really got that going and taken care of. So it really makes it helpful for not only the current active players that's playing right now with these insurance benefits, increasing the cap room, but also the retired veteran players are also getting that kind of expenses. Like, they should have been to have this back with, like I said, with Candace Parker, Lisa Leslie, Tina Thompson, all of them was there. I just don't know why they took so long to do it. It just made no sense to me. Uh, then as far as the air travel, I thought that was great. And then of course the increase in games, because it went from the increase in games, the schedule will expand up to it back in the next upcoming following years in 27 and 28, and of course it's going to get there by 2029 22 to 52 games. So I think that's pretty important, because it gets more of these women stars to really play and get more active. So I like that part. But for next year, we're going to see a lot. And then also, I didn't even mention too, there's going to be a couple of teams that's going to switch over. I think that I think they're letting go of the Connecticut Sun, and they letting go, and they getting another team coming in on the Eastern Conference side. And then I think I think it was also just like the NBA, two more teams is still coming in. And if that was going to be the case, why didn't they get a deal like this done before? Because if they wasn't generating making money like Kathy Engelberg was saying, then they wouldn't be expanding to try to get a couple more teams in the league. That don't make sense. So yeah, no, I like this deal. I think this deal was great for them. I'm very happy for a lot of them, and yeah, I was glad to end up getting something forward to the table, man. So yeah, those are just my thoughts about the WNBA and the Women's Basketball Players Association deal with involved with the CBA. So tell me what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Like I said, I got more content for you guys coming. So yeah, just be on the lookout for that pretty soon. All right, I'm out.